Let's look at these questions on simplifying and evaluating the algebraic expressions. So the first question is evaluate the following expression. So when you evaluate algebraic expressions or work with algebraic expressions or simplify, we have to remember the order of operations. So let's write that here. So we have to do the brackets first. So we do have one, so let's work with that. So it's going to be -3, and inside the bracket I have -9 plus 3, so that's going to give me -6, and that's the power of 2. And let's look at the denominator now. 2 to the 2 would be 4, and I have a negative times negative, that's going to be positive 2. Let's simplify this now. So for the numerator, I have -3 times -6 is raised to the power of 2. So that's going to be -6 times -6 or -6 squared. So that's going to be 36. And in the denominator, we have 4 plus 2 is 6. So -3 times 36 would be 108. That's a negative number, and divided by 6. So the final answer would be -18. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Evaluate the following expression. So in here, we have power of a power, and we have a mixed fraction inside the brackets. So let's make the mixed fraction into an improper fraction so that it makes it easy for us to raise it to any power that we have to raise it to. Let's simplify what's inside the bracket. So that's going to be change it into a mixed fraction. Sorry, an improper fraction. So 2 times 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 3. 3 divided by 2 raised to the power of 3. So that's still there, and the whole thing raised to the power of 2. Now, when we have a power of a power, when we raise a bracket to a power, everything inside the bracket needs to be raised to that power. So inside this bracket, we have a negative sign, which we usually don't write. So it's a -1, and another bracket, which is multiplied by that, which is 3/2 to the power of 3. So when I do a power of a power, that's going to be in here. It's going to be 3 times 2 is 6. And for -1, it's going to be just 2 because it's just squared. So what I'm going to do is, let's say -1, and that's going to be squared. And 3/2 is going to be raised actually to 6 because it already had a 3, and then multiplied by 3 would be 6. Now let's see whether we can simplify this to get the final answer. -1 squared would be 1 times, and here the numerator is going to be raised to the power of 6, and the denominator is going to be raised to the power of 6. So let's look at what the answer is. That's going to be 1 times 3 to the power of 6 is 729, and 2 to the power of 6 is 64. So that would be the final answer. So 729 over 64. Let's look at the last question. Sorry. Simplify the expression. So in here, we're going to do the power of a power. So let's do those for all the terms that we have here. So the very first one is, let's write the expression here so that we can start with that. X cubed and raised to the power of 3, and x to the 4 and raised to the power of 2 over 2x, whole thing raised to the power of 2. Let's look at the very first term, 2. So like we said, when we raise to the power of an exponent, all the terms inside the bracket needs to be raised to the power, to that power. Let's see. So 2 would be raised to the power of 3, and x would be raised to the power of 3 times 3 would be 9. And that's going to be multiplied by x to the 4. It's going to be raised to the power of 2, so that's going to be x to the power of 8. Let's see what we have in the denominator. So 2x whole thing to the power raised to the power of 2. So if 2 is raised to the power of 2, so that's going to be 2 squared. And if x is raised to the power of 2, it's going to be x squared. Let's simplify what's in the numerator and the denominator and see whether we can simplify using the exponent rules. So in here, 2 cubed would be 8. and that's x to the 9, that's one bracket, and the other bracket is x to the 8, and in the denominator we have 4x squared. So when we have, like, you have to remember the exponent rules. When the same base is multiplied, the exponents are added. So we have 8 and we have 1 here, so the number is, the constant is going to be 8, and x to the 9 and x to the 8, when they're multiplied, is going to be x to the 17, because 9 plus 8 is 17. And what do we have in the denominator? 4x squared. Now we have to remember the exponent rules, the quotient rule. So like when two of the same bases are divided by each other, what do we do with the exponents? We subtract them. So the final answer would be 8 divided by 4 is 2, x to the power of 17 divided by x to the 2. So we subtract the exponents. 17 minus 2 would be 15. So the final answer would be 2x to the power of 15.